Welcome to SFL Free Agency Frenzy 20th edition. You can see the first two signings have come across the board, and it is Mexico City signing a new quarterback, Jordan Sipe, from Jacksonville, an 89.79 signing rating. Matthew Alvarado also joining the squad at a 70.26 at outside linebacker. So we begin the day with a new era in Mexico City. Jordan Sipe is your new quarterback for the Aztecs. You'll find out who he gets to play first on Wednesday on the schedule release show. Good evening to everyone. I am Cameron Irvine, and tonight we are in the chat room saying hello to Albert Begin, Jacob Creech, Adam Wiseman, Sudo Nakai, Ernest McCrae, Michael Turillo, Dan Tritz, Saba Kimbrell, Skittles, Portland Fleet, Chris Curtis, Skippy, Mark Mello, Bullet Beletsky, and many others. Matthias Citrion, Johnny Reno, Christian Barreto, Harish Prasad, Nick Hoagland, Pauly Truth, Stuart Zamilia, Biff Markham, Kel Gates, Zach Holdorf, many, many others. Welcome to the show. We're going to be following along with this all night long. And let's see what we can do here early on in the show. I believe Jordan Sipe is going to join us coming up next, and we'll see if we can get him on to discuss his decision to go to Mexico City. And we'll wait on Jordan to answer. But yeah, great start here for Mexico City. Getting a couple of signings. Let's refresh the page, see what we got. We got plenty more. How about Chris Comisac going to Minnesota? Fullback, 70.13 rating. Jay Warren headed to Portland as a guard, 64.13. Chase Earl to Carolina at a 99.08. And a trio of Motor City signings. Kane Vasquez, Nick Brummer, Bill Cherry at strong safety, defensive tackle, and fullback, respectively. Tight end going to Baltimore, Caesar Ackerman. That's huge. From Jacksonville, going over to replace, I would imagine, DJ Bandit, who has not signed his contract in Baltimore. So Ackerman goes from Jacksonville in a 3-9 season last campaign to the three-time defending champions. And, of course, Doug Day signing his contract at strong safety, 73.26. Jordan Sipe, do we have you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Jordan, welcome to the program. Congratulations on the signing with Mexico City.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Well, we got to know the opportunity to take over in Mexico City, where they have not had a quarterback change in about 5 years, and of course you're filling those shoes. I'm curious what Mike Daggs and Mike Daggs and Ramos Lynn talked to you, maybe Matt Wilson too, about about that opportunity and how they were looking to approach things.
Yeah, so actually I messaged them, and as soon as I kind of got into contact with them, it was more about well, first of all, they needed a quarterback, and yeah, it was kind of just a blur, I guess. Just an awesome conversation. We talked a lot about Matt Wilson and his legacy on the league in general, and how we're not looking for someone to fill that role. Particularly, no one could really do that. More just me going in doing my job. And we talked a lot about, I guess, what everybody is kind of thinking, the missed progressions, and how this year's a big opportunity for me to show that what I can do both for the league and for the team. So I'm excited.
Jordan, I know last season was tough rookie season for you down in Jacksonville. Just the ups and downs. Jacksonville got that big win over Arizona late in the season, but there were some losses in there, and me and you actually had a one-on-one conversation just about just trying not to let the team down and trying to be the best teammate you can be. What do you feel like you learned last season in Jacksonville through those ups and downs?
Well, it was I learned a lot about, the culture, both of the locker room and just of the league in general, and how, not, we want to win at all costs, but really when we get those big wins over, really good opponents, it shows us that, it's anybody's game every single time. It's anybody's game. And every time we got close, it was just more stuff that, we could look over and try to tweak for the next game. Jacksonville just, had a great ownership group, great staff, and yeah, we just took every win and loss graciously, and we showed that we would always come back the next week, and we were still pumped through the end of the year. Every win counted, and it was a great first season and a great learning experience for me.
Well, now moving on to Mexico City, Jordan, what are you looking most forward to, in season 20 and just being with a new team, new culture?
Well, just the way that Ramos and Mike, the way that they were talking about the players and just the whole locker room in general, it was really awesome, to just kind of hear their just how they described the people there. It seems like a really fun locker room to be a part of, and I'm excited to go there. We talked a lot about progression, and they really seem to know what they're doing, which obviously they have to, but it was a lot of things that they were going to tell me exactly, what they've seen and give me the opportunity to be the best I can be, which is really what I was looking forward to the most. Just kind of getting as developed as I can be this year and really showing that on the field.
Jordan Sipe, last season with Jacksonville, 3,667 yards, 19 passing touchdowns, 398 completions, and the new signal caller for the Mexico City Aztecs. Huge signing to start free agency off. Wouldn't have had it any other way. We miss you, Matt Wilson, and can't wait to see what Jordan Sipe can do filling in those shoes. Jordan, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on your new home, and we'll see you on the other side in season 20.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
That was Jordan Sipe, your new quarterback for the Mexico City Aztecs from Jacksonville. And next we're going to bring on Chris Comisac, who just signed over in Minnesota. Before we do that, we're going to refresh our listings here to see what else we have. And boy, we have a ton of them coming through. Freddie Trammell is heading away from Alamo City and going and joining Charles and Dave over in San Diego. Julian Guster signs at tight end for Motor City. Eric Price at quarterback for Las Vegas, a 113.20. Rob Forker going to Alamo City. Liam Hammer signs his contract, 111 with Louisiana. Young Vade re-signing there in Jacksonville as the signings start to come in for the Jacksonville Kings. Nathaniel Diggs signs his contract at outside linebacker for Arizona, 70.84. Jim Copeland Jr. is headed to Houston to fill the tight end void there at 76. Gus Scott signing at a 93.99 for Seattle. That's a huge signing as Seattle gets one of the DC Dragons receivers or former receivers, and Jay Warren at tackle for Portland. So that's two offensive linemen now signing over in Portland as the Fleet continue to build up that offense. And I believe now we have Chris Comisac, your new fullback in Minnesota. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, Cam. How are you?
I am excellent. Why don't we start with what led you to be the next fullback of the Minnesota Legend?
Well, ever since coming to the SFL, I've enjoyed playing for every team I played for, and I'm truly grateful for all the opportunities that they've all offered me. It's just last season I didn't feel like I was contributing enough to Canton, and I mean, my fullbacks don't get a lot of love anyway, and he costs a lot. And I just thought, you guys could be, you're getting something else with all the salary cap. So let me go see where else I could go. And BJ and I stayed in contact since we both left Queen City, and I was following what he was doing in Minnesota real closely all season last season, and we just thought that maybe it would be a good fit. So I talked with BJ, Axel, Jason, some of the other guys at Minnesota, and yeah, we think that I can help them. Maybe my fullback can get a little bit more carries this season, and get back to the playoffs in season 20.
Minnesota, they kind of gave me a little Tennessee Titans vibes in terms of their mentality last season. They're just a tough, gritty, defensive-minded football team. Their offense is not going to hit you with flash, but they are going to hit you with with grit and effort and consistency. And I would say that fullback certainly embodies that out of an offense. What did you get a sense in terms of Minnesota and what they're hoping to accomplish, maybe the same or different this season after that playoff run?
Well, I think, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But, obviously they got to the playoffs, didn't get past the first round of the playoffs. So I think that we're all looking at trying to make the team a little more diverse on the field offensively. I mean, I'm a huge Eagles fan, and I love that I'm going to be wearing green and white in season 20. And I look at what the Eagles do, and it's just like they don't do just one thing. You try to stop the one thing, then they do another thing, and I think that's what we're going to try to do. I think the Minnesota philosophy is to hit you hard, run the ball, don't do anything too crazy. But we're going to mix in a little bit more, I think, this season, and hopefully get teams thinking about a bunch of different stuff to try to stop, as opposed to, we just need to stop the run game. We just need to, hold them to a few points, and then we'll beat them. We'll beat them in the end or something. No, I think Minnesota, they did a great job last season, and I'm just hoping that can help them get over that next hump.
As of this moment, Chris, I'm looking at the Minnesota Legend roster, and they're done. They have 23 players.
Yes.
Minnesota is ready for season 20, and I'm sure that has to make you feel pretty confident in what the Legend are going to do this season. But Chris, you're former coach in the SFL. It's a different beast being a coach in this SFL. Have you taken some time to step back and frolic through the tulips, as they say, to just kind of enjoy yourself?
It was nice to take a little bit of a break. But it's one of those things when you sit back and you're watching and you don't have a whole lot of involvement in what's going on. It's like, I can help that. I can help with that. No,
Sure.
I can help with that too. And yeah, I think that I think it was fun not having to do anything for a season, but it also showed me how much I really want to do stuff. Just in Queen City, that second season, we didn't have a whole lot of support. Trying to do a whole lot of everything just burns you out real fast. What BJ and Axel and the rest of the guys at Minnesota have done is they put together a great core of people. Lots of support. Everybody's trying to pitch in where they can. So and it says a lot that they were able to basically keep the team intact, and that's what good teams do. They keep their players, they get the progressions in, and they build from within that interest in helping out the team off the field, not just on the field. I told BJ when I first saw the team he put together that I love the builds that he put, the people that he brought in, and the builds that they had, the positions they filled out, and I just think it's a team built to win championships. Maybe not initially, but give them some time. If they can hold everybody together and keep them contributing the way that they did in season 19, heck, sky's the limit in Minnesota.
And you mentioned the struggle in Queen City just having limited personnel. They definitely are trying to solve that problem this offseason, bringing in 2 former team owners to go alongside Tom Welsh, Eric Barkley. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do over there. Michael Turillo with the correction. It is tiptoe through the tulips. Sorry, Chris. No frolicking for you, just tiptoeing. But no, great to have you. Great to have you on. Congratulations on signing with Minnesota, completing that team over there essentially, and it'll be good to see how what steps the Legend take to improve themselves in season 2.
Yep, I think it's going to be a great season, and thanks for having me on.
All right, Chris. Have a great one.
All right, you too.
All right, that was Chris Komisak, fullback for Minnesota. I just want to point out, because I kind of glanced over it earlier as we were waiting for our next guest. Eric Price signs with his rival. Eric Price signed with Las Vegas at a 113.20 after spending his first 3 seasons in Denver, where he threw for 10,443 yards. In those 3 seasons, Denver failed to qualify for the playoffs. But that is a whole new level to this Vice Wars rivalry, and that'll be an important one to tune in for schedule release to see where that falls on the schedule. But Price going to Vegas is huge. Huge news. And I saw a couple surprised by the signing of Liam Hammer. It just kind of goes to show how large the league is, how many players there are, and what's going on. Of course, Hammer, the former owner in San Diego, he gets a staff position in Louisiana and brings to Louisiana sort of the stardom at wide receiver that they have not necessarily had, or I guess from a numbers game, have not necessarily had before. So Hammer's going to be a huge asset over there in Louisiana, and that's going to be interesting as well. I want to mention Gus Scott too over in Seattle. Seattle re-signed a fair share of players. 2 seasons in DC, actually increased his numbers from his rookie season from 9 catches to 53 last season, 492 yards and 3 touchdowns. So big day for Gus Scott there. All right, let's refresh the signings and see what we get. And we've got our plate full here. DJ Majesty goes to Carolina at a 69.6 value. Let's talk about Majesty for just a second. He, like Anthony Wayo, has bounced around the league, but Majesty returning to Carolina, where he played in season 12 and season 13, where he had 11 combined tackles for loss and passes defended in those seasons. He's coming off of a season with Las Vegas, his first, where he had a career-high 6 sacks, was playing on the defensive line. But Majesty remains on the defensive line, moves to defensive tackle to try and help that front 4 in Carolina. 3 others for San Diego being signed. Jeff Gagne, former London Knight, is headed to San Diego at outside linebacker, 76.83. Stuart Zomilia from Jacksonville, another King departure. He is headed also to San Diego at corner, 68.63. And Biff Markham at defensive end heads to San Diego as well. Former Sioux Falls Sparrow, 67.44. So we're seeing San Diego bring in a few in free agency. Jaden Swift, Forrest Dalton re-sign in Jacksonville and Tulsa, respectively. And then a correction there on Majesty's contract. So there's your newest signings. And we go ahead and take a peek at San Diego and what they're doing, slowly building up their team. They have 8 players now signed, 7 of them on the defense, along with Scar Patterson at quarterback. You got 3 linebackers, Jeff Gagne, Leon Thunderman, and Freddie Trammell, who have solidified that group. And then Tom Krieg, Stuart Zomilia at corner, and Zach Holdorf back at free safety. So that's some interesting things there out of San Diego. And I think Jacob Clear is going to join us. We haven't seen any contracts hit the wire yet for Clear, but he may want to discuss them as they are released. So we'll to take a look at what's going on in Charleston here coming up on Free Agency Frenzy. It's been a solid start here. We've got the heir apparent to Matt Wilson's position. We've got some big front office members who have signed with their new teams. We have, quite frankly, the shocker so far for me of the free agency period, Eric Price going to rival Las Vegas and leaving Denver. And then Portland signed a couple offensive linemen. San Diego's beefed up their defense. And so that is looking pretty interesting there as well. Jacob Clear, do we have you on the phone?
You do indeed. A wonderful evening to you, Cam. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Jacob. And I'm guessing we're going to do a little live reveal coming up. Is that right?
Yeah, we are. I've got a few of the contracts that I've got ready set up for this morning that have been signed and ready to publish. So I figured I'd get on, including a big staffing announcement for us that we were sort of waiting on, and we're going to do it when we sign this player as well. So figured we'd do it live.
Fire away, my Aussie friend.
All right. I'll start. We have two effectively, and they both come within our coaching room because we lost Mike O'Neill after the last season. He's off into San Diego with Dave. So we needed some fresh faces in the coaching room. And the first being from within our organization, we're appointing our very own Robert Cherry, the Ottawa Cavalry head coach, as our new defensive coordinator. And I'm also surrendering one of the positions that I held within the organization to a new player who tested the free agency market this offseason, that being former Arizona Scorpion and now Charleston Predator and current Annapolis Navigators head coach, Jay Hayden, who is now our head coach in Charleston, South Carolina.
Want to hit that submit
Along
button
with
for
that,
me, Jacob?
I have done such.
Okay.
And
so Jay Hayden moving over, and Robert Cherry as well. So that's huge, man. Tell us about Robert Cherry first, and just his leadership and what you've seen out of the job that he's done at Ottawa, which I feel like has been a very good job this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we drafted Cherry in season 18, and he's been nothing short of an incredible leader in our locker room and just someone who's been a very valuable asset in our front office. He sort of stood in as a assistant GM in the past season, particularly this offseason, looking at the recruitment process. But we feel that his success in the minor leagues, as well as just pitching in general last season to our coaching room, he's more than capable at coaching at this kind of a level now. And look, it's a great pleasure to offer him this spot that is so valuable to this team, given that we historically are a very defensive team, and his philosophy, I feel, is going to uphold that.
Now, Jay has, he learned under the tutelage of Eddie Gage, and obviously has, started to turn things around down there in Annapolis, who got off to a sluggish start this season. But Jay, I know from many conversations with him, is very dedicated and passionate about the SFL and about the work that he does wherever he goes. So a little bit about Jay Hayden for us.
Yeah, I think calling Jay passionate is a bit of an understatement in a sense, because he lives and breathes this league at this point. But it's not so often that you get a guy who has coaching experience with both TJ, T-Pat, and then Eddie Gage in Arizona as well, and obviously had a stint with Queen City in between. So he's well traveled, and he certainly knows his way around the league. But his presence in the locker room, his leadership, I've seen it all before at a minor league capacity, and I know of how highly Eddie speaks of him. And just when we were able to wrap this one up and sort of have him in as a player and then confirming the actual front office position was, I think, huge for us. It's the sort of guy we've kind of been waiting for since this ownership could take over.
Jacob, 123 viewers right now. I am always blown away by how we can kind of go dark from a streaming perspective outside of the minor league for a few weeks. And then we pop up and everyone's just here to enjoy the SFL for what it is. It's always very humbling. Jacob, I know you're all the way on the other side of the world. What's the off season like for a guy in your position, for, you know, a co-owner of a team, and you know, what does this time of year mean to you? How do you try to approach it? I try to get some rest, but I know that's different for teams.
Well, oh yeah, look, it's certainly been a bit easier than it has been in previous seasons. We've been a whole lot more prepared this off season. Our GM Terrell Sutherland has done a fantastic job with our recruitment and has been responsible for, you know, a lot of the guys that we're pulling in now. And you know, I genuinely can't thank him enough, because it allows me to sort of sit back and actually, you know, try and scope out the players that we've got while he sort of gets an understanding for the people. Whereas in previous seasons, I was kind of doing it all on my own. So to have that support now, to have a more structured front office in this organization, it's a massive advantage. But it is the most important time when it comes around to try and bring back the people you've got already, and then obviously replace the gaps that have been made by certain departures. And I think it's probably been our best attempt at it in the seasons that I've been here, that just simply because of that front office structure and the stability we've got back there.
I can't let you go without talking a little bit of offense with you. Of course, Jay Hayden comes over, but Honus Adobe also now a part of this offense. Davius Reed back in this offense. Kind of a totally reworked offense for you guys, including one of the more underrated parts of this offseason, the signings of Saren Storm and Nick Hoagland, two running backs now in the mix for Charleston, and Hoagland just crossed the wire as well. So I'm sure that that Jay was a part of this, but I'm curious as to how the planning came together for this offense, because for Charleston last season, of course, Kentez also returns, but it just didn't come together like it did 2 seasons ago when you made a pretty deep playoff run.
Yeah, look, it's hard because we initially intended with the Saren Storm switch was always going to happen. That was an agreement that was made quite some time ago, but we did intend on holding on to Keith Swearingen, but unfortunately, some things not everything goes your way, and you know, we unfortunately lost contact with him completely. So we're going to have to find a way to somehow fill that vacancy with someone who I drafted Nick Hoagland with the Mavericks a number of seasons ago, and he was such a faithful servant to that team as a fullback, and I think that he has more than deserved an opportunity to play as a tailback. And look, we're prepared to sort of give him some time to build that player up. But it's a guy that we hold a high regard for character-wise, and someone who I think will be a part of our organization for a long time. That's the idea. You know, we want people who are going to hang around and stick with the long-term plans that we have. But Odobe is also fantastic. That was one that Sutherland made pretty much all on his own, and that's a huge signing for us because we believe in his character as well. But and look, just getting Hayden as that number one receiver, we haven't had a player like that since we lost Ken Vaccaro. So just getting a guy like that at the X spot is just fantastic for me as a play caller.
Well, Charleston is one of the more fascinating stories, or has become one of the more fascinating stories of this offseason. You've got 25% of the head coaches in minor league right now. You snagged some really good players from some great teams. You're running a split running back system, which Mexico City and Louisiana have seen success with. There's a lot of positives coming out of Charleston right now, and a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. That's credit to you, Jacob, and the rest of your staff, and appreciate you joining us here on Free Agency Frenzy, and thanks for giving us some headlines today.
No worries, Cam. Appreciate you giving me the platform to put that out there.
Appreciate you, Jacob, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, see you, Cam.
All righty, thanks, Jacob. All right, Jacob Clear, one of the owners in Charleston. Really interesting stuff there out of Charleston, and looking forward to that. Okay. I was just getting a message. I'll read that here shortly. But yeah, Charleston, really, really interesting build right now, and good to see. All right, let's get to some of the signings that we have not talked about just yet. DJ Bandit and Jay Rock going to Tulsa. Bandit leaves Baltimore for the position in Tulsa, and Jay Rock leaving Atlanta to go to Tulsa. And I saw in the chat that Rock said that they were all together again. I'd be interested to see what his connection is to Tulsa, or in a number of ways. Let's see, Marco, Jaden, Bandit, Jay, all friends in real life. Now we get to play together in the SFL too. So that's huge. Friends coming together for Tulsa, and that's always fun to see. Odette Boudreau joins Otis Boudreau. Finally, the Boudreaux paired in Louisiana. Odette comes over at defensive end, and more exciting signing announcements to come here as we refresh the page and see that Baloo Scott has joined her son, the new running back in Seattle. 84.78 rating for Baloo Scott, leaves Motor City. Bill Cherry joined Motor City at fullback, leaving San Diego earlier tonight. Someone was asking in the chat where Bill went. More signings across the wire for San Diego. Eric Hammer leaves Florida to go and be a Maverick. Nate Hall has decided on being a Maverick over Alamo City or anyone else. Finley James at guard goes to Florida. A couple of signings as well for London. Frank Stackhouse at defensive tackle. Mike Jones at corner goes to the Knights. The Knights also publishing some signings, or about to publish some signings earlier today in the re-signing period. Baloo Scott sent over a message and said that, hi, she is listening to our show. Hi, Baloo. So excited that Gus and I get to play on the same team. Mother-son combo, and I'm grateful and appreciative we get to play together. Wish Gus could be on the show. Scheduling conflict. She is at work. Just want to say that we are looking forward to the new season and appreciative of our past experiences. Thanks again. So that is from Baloo Scott. And actually a note from the defending champions. Caesar Ackerman is the tight end 1 in Baltimore, replacing Lloyd Graham Jr., no longer a part of the Baltimore Vultures. That has got to be the most high-profile move in free agency that Baltimore has made in quite some time. Lloyd Graham Jr. not returning to the team. Instead, it is Caesar Ackerman, who was very successful in Jacksonville last season in their tight end-centric offense. Jukin Rukin Jr. also joins up with Jukin Rukin in Alamo City. It's another loss for Sioux Falls in free agency. And Ace Fennick welcoming his new teammates Rob Forker and Jukin Rukin Jr. in the chat. Chat shout-outs that I haven't gotten a chance to give. Art Vandelay, Will Todd, Scott Johnson, Doug Day is also here. And there's a few more I didn't get. T. DeQueen is in the house. Caesar is here as well. Max Paul, Joshua Williams, DJ Bandit, Frosty Times, AJ Levy, Grant Hardaway, Ethan Kai, and others. But big move for Seattle to get Baloo Scott and Gus Scott on this squad. Seattle is pretty close to being done at this point. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 officially on the roster at this moment. David Gears, Zachary Patton back in the mix in Seattle. Wide receiver Baloo Scott takes over at running back, and Trellis Blanton re-signed at quarterback. Paulie Truth is back among some others on this team. So Seattle almost built out there, and getting a look at it. 40 minutes into our 2-hour program here on Free Agency Frenzy. If you would like to join the show, I would love to have you on. A note from Drew Riley over in Motor City. Nothing major, but for the first time, Motor City is out of the draft. Motor City taking a look at their team. Their roster is completely full as Ibrahim Creata comes back at quarterback. Christopher Dean moves over to play running back this season. Bill Cherry also a part of that squad. And then, of course, their 3 tight ends, Phil Koss, Azami Mihata, and Julian Gusters are your 3 tight ends. So it does not appear that that Motor City is moving on too terribly much from their 3 tight end set. Guy Clausen did move over to become the wide receiver 3 to give them a little bit more diversity, and Phil Koss signs a contract of over $100 for a tight end. That is quite the move there. Zach Lay asks, how many days is free agency? Free agency continues through a few days before the draft. That's December 14th. So just a couple of weeks, but most of the excitement will rain down over the next hour and 20 minutes, and already here in the first 40 minutes of the program. So let's take a look at the refresh, see if we've got any. We got a couple more. Keenan Samuels in Baltimore, Pete Mitchell to Florida, and I'm quite interested as Florida lost Eric Hammer. I'm quite interested to see what their linebacking core looks like now. They did get Aaron. They do have Aaron Gooden, Stephen Black, Ryan Tobin, also now in the mix at linebacker. So they just scooted over Tobin. That's going to be weird looking at him at number 53. But Florida looks pretty set too. Maybe 1 or 2 left to sign. But Boletsky is back with Ron Cochran, E.J. Minchin, Stephen Bush, Art Vandelay, your typical cast in Florida. Let's go back and take a look at what Alamo City has done so far this season. It's been an interesting offseason for Alamo City, but plenty of returners. Ace Fennick is back. Still no announcement on their running back just yet. Greg Soto, Deuce Fennick, Ziggy Ronick, and Hank Earl Troll, your wide receivers. Garrison Blue is your tight end in Alamo City. So they were able to retain quite a bit. Yogi and Bogey are on the defense. Juke and Rukin, Tina Begin. These are names you know and love. Rain Rie, Mickey McGuire as well. Don't see Bo Martin Jr. on there, so I'm guessing that's sort of a wait and hold kind of situation in regards to the cap. Alamo City sits currently at 15-29 as they continue to build. Good evening and good night to you, Mike Torillo. Thanks for being here while you could. That's right, Mighty with the correction for me. Hammer went to Charleston. I'm still thinking about him in the Florida days, and I was thinking that Tobin was at linebacker last season, but just not entirely sure. Thank you for the correction. And across the wire, Aiden Davis also comes in for Fort Worth. If you did not see earlier today, Fort Worth signed a slew of players coming back to the team, including Marcus Dunhill, Stephen Hacker, Cade Stevens, Robert Garrett Jr., Adam Leach, Aiden Davis, Delaney Nash, all the regulars, Jeff Duffy as well. J.C. Bacon moves into that top running back spot. Still unclear where Jason Williams is headed. Have not seen those contracts cross the wire just yet either. I think we're going to get some Arizona going on this program here shortly, which I'm sure no one has gotten enough of at this point. They do such a wonderful job with their couple of shows that they have weekly, and I'm certainly thankful for that as the guy that runs this league. Nathaniel Diggs, do we have you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Nathaniel Diggs, welcome to the program. It has been probably the busiest offseason of your life. Has it or has it not been?
Oh yeah. It's been eventful and an experience.
So tell us a little bit about that. What has been the experience, and what was asked of you out of Arizona, and maybe how long was this were these conversations going on, trying to reel you in to be a Scorpion?
Well, it got, I do the show with AJ, and she kind of put the little bug in my ear, if you got bigger goals, because I'd like to own a team at some point in this league, this would really help you out. You should think about putting your name in the hat. So I did that, and I'm really thankful she did that, because you never know what you can accomplish unless you take that step. And that's a lot of thing with some people is, the fear of putting themselves out there, and the failure of falling short or letting somebody else down. And that's something that a lot of people in the league, have to get over and take that leap. And there's plenty of people doing that. As you can see this off season, there's been a lot of, ownership stuff. There's been a lot of promotions. Shout out to Cherry. He's one of my buddies. Congrats on that. That's big. So with Arizona, it's different being on this side of it. Seeing a lot of the things you hear about, like the cap hits and stuff like that. Losing points on your cap, and it affects. But being able to see some of that, it gives you a deeper understanding of how impactful it really is. And it's just been great learning from Eddie. I've had a lot of help along the way to get to where I am. BJ over in Minnesota, when I was with him in QCC, he really helped me build my player up to what he is, and kind of got me along there, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And even I was stoked to see Comisac and BJ reunite here today. So that's exciting, knowing what Comisac can do and the damage they can do together. It's going to be eventful this season for them. And shout out to Destro as well. Him and Steven helping me over there in DC. It was great with those guys. But in the short amount of time I've been with Eddie and Ashley, it's just been amazing. The amount I've learned from Eddie, and the time he takes to really teach you the right way to kind of get stuff going and do stuff. It's been awesome, and that's why I wanted to take this opportunity to do the GM thing, because what better people to learn from? Two of the top people in this league, AJ and all she's accomplished, and Eddie as well. So. Don't run away from it and be scared. It's you're not trying to fill somebody else's shoes and take over and replace them. It's get in there and learn from the best. So
I'd love to hear from Doug Day on the show, as he's teasing the last signing for Seattle today. I'd love to get his thoughts on Seattle, but Nathaniel, it's amazing how over 20 seasons, the coaching trees, the front office trees, the connections start to grow. You were in Minnesota, and then Minnesota got a little bit of Queen City in there. And, of course, back in Queen City days, there was a little bit of Fort Worth in there with Sicario and Hacker. And then, you've got the Arizona connections now with BJ Loveless, formerly playing in Arizona, and then he goes to Minnesota. I mean, when you add it all up, I mean, you went to you were in DC there for a little while, and DC has a GM, Stephen Mullinex, that was formerly involved with the franchise we now call Alamo City. And when you dial it all up, that's Alamo City, DC, Minnesota, Fort Worth, Queen City, Arizona. I mean, that's like 25% of the league. I mean, it's just it's incredible.
Yeah, the connections you can make in this league are, amazing. Everybody's tied in, and that's the thing. We all pay to play, and it's fun in a locker room that makes you happy. And it's been said plenty. I've not had a locker room that I didn't enjoy myself in. BJ and Hubba and Comisac and all of them were great over in QCC, and then DC was Destro, my buddy Mike, and Say and all of these people were a blast in there. So and even now, I couldn't have got a warmer welcome from Arizona. So it's great, and I'm excited to see what we can accomplish here. And just other than me on this, it's been great seeing some of the other big moves in here. I mean, Odette Boudreaux getting moved over. She's a wonderful woman, and her and her husband are great people. And the connections you can make in this league with people are crazy.
How often does Eddie say? He says it to me every phone call, and I say, "Is this really what you're going to spend my time on?" How often does he say on a regular basis that he could have won that game, the championship?
No, I mean, not too much. Not
Really?
too much. I
Well,
think
how
it
do
gets
I get
brought.
your job then?
He says it. He says it. He says it when it gets brought up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But we're more focused on learning from it and moving forward. I mean, it's you can see through the roster stuff. It's going to be a little bit different team coming this season, but I think we've more than got what it takes. Eddie's done proven he can get to the dance, and we're going to finish it. So
21 players on the roster, is that right, Diggs? We got a couple more that we can be expecting. What's the plan?
Yeah, we got a couple more spots to fill.
Gotcha. And you're paired with J.R. Lawless as well in the linebacking core. Sean Moore, a couple of my favorite people. I haven't gotten a chance to be one-on-one with Moore as much, but Lawless is a good guy. Lots of good stuff over there in Arizona. Just have to, looks like maybe shore up some safeties, maybe something else in the secondary, maybe something else on offense, and you guys will be all set.
Like Eddie says, you need to wait and see.
Yes, wait and see is right. Well, thank you, Mr. Diggs, for joining the program, for helping Ashley out and getting her to almost 300 episodes now, I think. And, it'll be great to see what Arizona does in Season 20.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you again for all you've done in the league and with how busy you are and all the stuff you've had going on this year as well and keeping the ship straight. So thanks for that. And also thanks for being so easy to reach out to. That's something that's special about the league as well. Yeah, your door's always open and nobody should be afraid to reach out if they need something.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for joining the program, and best of luck to you in Season 20.
Thank you.
All right, that was Nathaniel Diggs of Arizona, and looking forward to speaking to more great people around the SFL as the show goes along, as we queue up our next guest coming up. But until we do, let's get a refresh and see what else we have coming across the wire. We got a few, as one other signing there for Alamo City ticks in, but Justin Williams going to Arizona at fullback. There's another one of their signings, so one more signing left, it would appear, for the Scorpions. Amar Bryant Jr. at Seattle, the new cornerback, and I believe the final signing for Seattle. Tanner Hendricks leaves London and is headed to San Diego, so another member of the London Knights goes to the Mavericks, a new connection with London and San Diego now brewing there. And then Jason Williams, there it is, leaving Fort Worth and heading to Sioux Falls. Big free agent landing for Sioux Falls and Jason Williams. Another pin in that running back carousel is now closed there in Sioux Falls. And now I am fortunate enough to be joined by the general manager of the Seattle Nemesis, Doug Day. How you doing, Doug? We're going to work on Doug here in just a minute. Doug, our friendly people are not able to hear you. So, maybe now? Dougie? I thought I heard something. It wouldn't be an SFL show without just a tiny tinge of technical difficulties. Doug, you there? Check your Discord settings, my friend, and just let me know when you are here. So we'll get Doug on shortly. Doug, don't be afraid to interrupt me in any way as I continue to stall for time if you are ready and here. Jason Williams going to Sioux Falls is pretty exciting for the Sparrows. They pair him with Charlemagne Cornelius and Julian Tyree and all the usual suspects on that Sioux Falls Sparrows offense. K. Marion, Noe Terrazas, A.J. Warren, Michael Knight. But Marcus Duncan leaving that program, yet to see where Duncan lands after a pretty successful rookie season, especially down the stretch in the playoffs for Duncan. But Jason Williams signs a 107.05.
Got you, Cam?
Yes, I do. Doug, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the Seattle signings. And does that, correct me if I'm wrong, does that complete your roster?
That does complete the roster. We are full. We are ready to go. It's been a heck of a run.
Your first true GM position, right, Doug?
Lost you again.
Doug, can you hear me?
Okay.
Are
you there?
Yeah, your first true GM position, right?
Yes, it is.
How has that been? How's it been? Not only trying to continue to build on the Seattle culture that was built last season, but trying to bring in free agents. It's probably a little difficult after the team's slow start in their expansion season. But if anybody can do it, it's you. So how'd you do it?
Well, most of the credit goes to Ethan and David. They had a pretty good start from the get-go. We'd been speaking pretty much half the way through the season anyway. So when it finally came to me getting into the locker room, 99% of the work was already done. We had been speaking with Amar for a little while. He was pretty excited. And then we had the opportunity to bring in Baloo and Gus as, the mom and son. Well, they're from Idaho, so they're right across the border. So it's not that long of a drive for them to get to the stadium.
That's right. And that's always good. That's always fun. And Baloo is I haven't gotten a chance to one-on-one with Gus, but she's one of my favorite all-time interviews with Ashley Jackson, just because it just simply reminds me of me and my childhood, growing up with a single mom just as a young kid. And so that it's exciting to see her and her son get a chance to play on the same team. Obviously, DC did not have a running back opening with Kevin Say dominating carries over there, but now she gets to come to Seattle and try to ignite this run game. And it's got to be pretty exciting, despite the start in the expansion season to have a full team. There's nothing wrong with drafting and getting rookies, but anytime you can solidify a roster as soon as possible, it always feels pretty good.
Well, it's always over the last few weeks, it's been discussed that we may or may not be drafting with our first pick, and it is official. Seattle is now off the clock.
That's right.
We will relinquish our first round pick, so whoever wants it, enjoy it.
So the draft essentially moves up, and I don't have the standings in front of me, but whoever had the number 2 pick would then now get the number 1 pick if they in fact need it. But Doug, I'm sure it was tough to leave a team like Fort Worth. You've had a very how do we say it? You've a very eventful career, I would say.
Eventful, yes.
So far, you had a little stint at wide receiver there for a second. But
we don't count that.
but you're building on it. From Vancouver to Lone Star, Louisiana, Fort Worth, now Seattle with your wife, T. DeQueen, who is a wonderful lady. I loved her wave during her first touchdown at the convention. I'm sure that's a memory that y'all will cherish. But how fun has that been?
Yeah.
And did she want you there, quite frankly?
Oh yeah, yeah. She had to keep an eye on me.
Yeah, that's right.
Make sure I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But yeah, a lot of I mentioned this before, and even at the convention, Ethan was trying to get me to come to Seattle. And like I mentioned before, it was not an easy decision. But, you know, the big thing was, you know, it's finally a GM spot. I finally get to help a team, you know, build up from almost ground up. And to be on the same team as my wife is just, you know, I mean, you know, it's me and T, and then you have KT and David and Catherine, or they're all family, and you know, now you got Blue and Gus, and then you know, it's just, and then Paulie's got a bunch of friends over there, so
yeah, nearly a third of your roster family oriented.
Pretty much. But I mean, we've still got a little bit of growing to do, you know, with progressions and getting our values and getting our attributes up and stuff like that. But the biggest thing, you know, and we've seen this with Baltimore, it's all about retention. And if we can keep the same players season after season, build them up, get them to where we want them, we'll be pretty tough.
Yeah, I think Baltimore has pretty much set themselves as a standard, and y'all had to play them last season, so you won't have to play them this season as the SFL runs on a divisional rotation. I'm sure you wanted a second bite at that apple. Anybody, the schedule is done, so whatever you say can't change anything, but anybody you're particularly looking to play against next season that rhymes with Oros?
I don't know. Me personally, I think I would rather stay out of the South after watching what they did to the league. I mean, what was everybody in the South was in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's crazy, Doug, is we're actually seeing that in the NFL this season. We're seeing the NFC East and the AFC East. Right now, the NFC East occupies all of the wild card spots. I don't know what's in the water recently, but yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, hopefully we can get some of that.
Yeah, boy, that would be a turnaround if all the Pacific got in the playoffs, because the outside of Vancouver, it's been a bit of a struggle over the last few years. But that's gotta feel pretty good though. I'm sure it kind of feels like, I mean, Vancouver's obviously the team to beat in the Pacific, but it feels like it's really anybody's division.
Yeah, I mean, anybody's division, and you know, I mean, it just depends on what the playbook wants to do for us and all that stuff. So it's just, you know, we just got to put our stuff on the table and let's do it.
All right, Doug. Well, we'll always appreciate talking with you, and you know, you have a wonderful night. I think Skippy said in the chat something about no Twinkies after 10 p.m., which I don't know about that.
Think we're okay.
All right, Doug, have a great one. Say hello to Mr. Queen, and we'll see you all for season 20.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Cam. Have a good one.
Thanks so much, Doug. Bye. All right, that was Doug Day of the Seattle Nemesis, their new general manager. We left things off about 10 minutes ago with Jason Williams coming across the wire, the new running back in Sioux Falls. Let's do another refresh and see what we've got here. Brian Murphy at tight end is going to Charleston. Devin King, linebacker, formerly of the Baltimore Vultures, another loss for the Vultures. Devin King is headed to Denver, and if memory serves me correct, I am cheating. Nope, that's his first stint in Denver. Started his career in San Diego, a couple seasons there, then a couple seasons in Baltimore. Saw some numbers dip outside of some tackles for loss for the Vultures last season, and now he's going to Denver. So big pickup at the linebacker spot for the Nightwings. Talon Steele going to London. Steele, is it a 2 or 3-time convention attendee? I think it's 2. But he's headed to London to be their tight end, 72.04. Taking a look at where London is this evening after it's just the 3 free agents they've got. Their re-signings are still yet to come across the wire, but London is getting those in. Brad Jones, that's another running back pin to fall. Jones is headed to Alamo City, leaving Indianapolis. A huge, and I mean huge, signing, 120.58 for Brad Jones in Alamo City replaces Ike McBride, and that contract ranks as the fourth most expensive contract in the SFL, all trailing running backs. Bailey O'Shaughnessy signed the fattest contract so far this offseason, $124.15, followed by Logan Jack in LA, followed by Kevin Say in DC. So Brad Jones gets the bag. Tommy Utah is your highest paid quarterback with a value against the cap at $118.92. So he'll be paired up with Liam Hammer there, and Squarebush also cracks the top 12 or so in contracts at a 113.23. Just in case you're curious, top wide receiver contract is Liam Hammer, 111.17, followed shortly by Ivory Irvin, 111.14. And then you got to go ways down the list before you get to anyone not named a wide receiver, running back, or quarterback, and that is Phil Koss, who we talked about earlier at tight end, 100.32. The highest paid defensive player right now is Tom Tanner, 98.89 out of Houston. So that's a look at all that. And then Ace Singletary is headed to Canton. Canton, who just refreshed their brand identity earlier today. And Singletary is headed there at inside linebacker, 64.53. I saw Singletary earlier in the chat room, so congrats to Ace. Ace spent last season in Charleston after previously playing in Albuquerque. So Canton gets a linebacker added to their mix. And let's see. Let's see. Well, let's do a little Vegas. Let's bounce back to one of the shockers of the night coming up here on the show, interesting stuff going on both in Denver and Las Vegas. I am now joined by the GM of the Las Vegas Fury, Justin Reside. How you doing, Justin?
Doing all right, Cam. I'm doing all right.
Let's go back to the beginning of the night here. Eric Price leaves Denver and goes to Vegas. Please tell us how that came about and how he turned his back on your biggest rival.
Well, it was the end of the season at season 19, and Joseph Green decided to leave us. So me, John Bond, and the rest of our other co-general manager, Hubba Kimbrell, and our other owner, Tony, were talking in off season. We had to find a quarterback. We have to find a quarterback, and then all the free agency comes out, and then we saw Eric Price, and there were three of them. OJ Broom, we haven't seen yet, and the other two were Eric Price, who we got, and Jordan Sight. Jordan Sight went to Mexico City. So we were looking at those three, and we would go, "Oh, Eric Price is our guy. That's our guy right there. That is our guy." Because
you've seen plenty of them, Justin, being in your division, and Price was a pretty good quarterback for Denver. I think we even did kind of a mini expose on him and how he's improved himself year over year over year in Denver, and now gets to take over for Joseph Green in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he does. I mean, 3 years in Denver, we had to face him three times. Even though we beat him three times, he comes to the other side of the vice, and comes to the guy from the grass vice, and I think Jeremy Vega is probably like, oh boy, we have to face our old quarterback now.
I love the making sure that you noted that you had beaten them three times over the last three seasons. That's I'm sure that was appreciated by those Nightwings. Boy, that's going to be fun. I love that. It was one of my favorite rivalries in the league, and that adds a whole nother level to it. Outside of Eric Price, how's the offseason been treating Las Vegas, and what do you guys got cooking over there?
We got cooking. We're hopefully getting those guys that we got so far. It's like, we're signing everybody who we sign, including myself, as the second free safety with behind Shot Allen. So it's almost pretty good out there. We're just waiting for guys to sign and see what happens. And if, because that, it's like, Vegas, we're retooling 6-6 year after a couple 2 seasons. My first 2 seasons being a 6-6 for the 6-6 squad. We had to retool everything, and now with the whole quarterback situation. We got our guy Eric Price, and now we got a 2 running back system, of course, with Hubble and Scott Johnson there, and it's going to be a good.
Yeah, you also moved Hubba into a running back position. That's the second team now to jump on the 2 running back system bandwagon. And what went into that decision?
It's like, Hubble, we were talking about, and Hubba wanted to move over to, we were talking about how Scott Johnson, every time, we play a game, he gets tired. So Hubba said, hey, might as well make me the second running back so we can give Scott Johnson a rest once he gets tired.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits, injury, fatigue, all that stuff, especially when you're really in need of a run game against any particular opponent. Jeremy Vega chimed in the chat about on the Denver side of things of the Vice Wars, and he said, great signing for Vegas. Price is a good guy, and Vegas is a good franchise, but we'll see you in Vice Wars, so that's going to be
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Jeremy, we'll see in Vice Wars, buddy. We'll see in Vice Wars, buddy.
Looking forward to seeing how Vegas continues to build out their roster, and Denver too with that big Devin King signing. Justin, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day.
You too, mate. Oh, good stuff there from Justin Reside. That is going to be so much fun watching those two go toe-to-toe this season. All right, here's some more signings across the wire. Zach Lay, leaving San Diego, is going to Vancouver. Vancouver gets a signing on the board. Man, fat cornerback contract, $89.27. Let's see where that ranks in the league. 89.27. That is that your top corner? Top free safety goes to Bernard Smith. Potty's your top kicker. No, Derek Majors. No, Blake Prine in Indianapolis is your top cornerback contract right now, 95.39. But still a very good contract for Vancouver and Zach Lay. And then a couple more signings out of San Diego. The Caudells leaving Carolina, going to San Diego. It's the band getting back together, so to speak, in San Diego, it would appear. And then William McDowell also heading to Denver at wide receiver, 81.72. Holdorf adjusts his contract at free safety for the Mavericks as well. So good look at those things as well. All right, while we're on the subject, let's see if we can get somebody on the line here from the Mavericks.
Hey, Cam, how's it going?
What's up, Charles? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Busy night, my friend. Busy night.
Now, remind me of the title again. It's president. You have so many. It's president and head coach. Is that right?
Well, I guess president, head coach, but it's basically talk to Dave 1,000 times a day, and he orders me around.
All right. Well, it's too long to fit on the bar down there, but we got president and head coach down there. But yeah, San Diego. The floor is kind of yours to talk about what it's been like building this team. It's kind of a flip flop of Lone Star in terms of Dave is running the show, and instead of you, but obviously you have a big hand in all of these personnel decisions and trying to build up this Mavericks team. So how do you feel like it's coming together, and how has it come together for you?
Oh, it's come together perfectly. I mean, I don't think we have any holes. When the word got out, when it was official, I mean, people were banging down the doors to come aboard, and it was Zach Holdorf as the GM. Really stepped up, and we got great people. They meet the requirements to be a Maverick, and we're Dave and Zach and I are extremely excited with what we got.
You also got Benji Matson to come over from London, Jeff Gagne, a couple of their big linchpins. What's your relationship been like with Benji and Jeff? Because to the naked eye, there wasn't a big connection there. unless I'm missing something. Where did the paths cross with London and San Diego?
Well, I mean, I've done some things with Benji. I've had dialogue with him before, and Tanner as well, and not so much Jeff. I mean, Jeff and Dave have a closer relationship, but that should change in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I think Jeff's a great guy. He jumped right in, and he's talking to all of us, and he's pumped, and I think he's going to be a leader with him and Leon Thunderman and Fabulous Freddie in the middle. I mean, I think they're going to be a pretty dangerous linebacking core.
The offense, Charles, still a bit of a mystery here. We have just the quarterback, Scar Patterson, returning. That receiving core in San Diego, that was all anyone could talk about last season. Obviously, you're not going to say a quarterback, or you're not going to say a signing before it comes across the wire. But what can we expect out of San Diego this season offensively?
Well, I would say kind of more of the same what you see on the defense as far as caliber of people. And we also wanted Scar to kind of shine a little bit on the offensive side. I mean, he's the leader in the clubhouse, if you will. And we are just delighted that he decided to stay with us. I mean, he's a great guy. I'm getting to know him better, and he's proven to be quite a leader.
Now, I've met Rylan Caudell. I've not gotten a chance to meet Bobo in person. We met. Do you remember the restaurant we met at, Charles? To have that was a nice night. But I'm wondering. I mean, those guys really like you.
I mean, I've known Barry. Bobo's real name's Barry since '98. We worked together, and I actually was in the delivery. Well, not the delivery room, but I was at the hospital when Ryan was born. So
wow.
I kind of feel like an uncle to him.
Yeah. No, that's really neat. How's the water over there in San Diego?
Oh, it is nothing. It's not even close to what I experienced sitting next to you in the studio, man. That was life changing.
You could make me blush, Charles. Make me blush. Great times. Well, it's really exciting what's going on in San Diego. Love the new brand. Love the new look. I know that Dave's real serious about getting things going over there, and I know you are too. Kind of a fresh start for everyone, a new opportunity and new possibilities out there in the West. You got Arizona, Denver, Vegas. Any thoughts on your new divisional opponents? I'm not sure how many times your paths have crossed with those teams.
Well, I'm glad that they're stocking up because they're going to need it. But before I go, I do have to say something about you, Cameron. I really like the Clark Kent look, the little hair twirl in the front. I think it makes you look superhero-ish.
That's what I was going for. So,
yep.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else?
I think that's probably enough.
All right, Charles. Thanks for stopping by and just chit-chatting about San Diego for a bit.
My pleasure.
All right, see you, Charles. Charles Doherty. San Diego president, head coach. Interesting what they have going on down there. Like I said, just a quarterback sign. They've been working a lot on the defense tonight. We have 40 minutes left in our program. See what else comes across the wire. And for those that don't know, Charles Doherty and I actually called some games for a couple seasons together. He always joked with me about how fresh my water tasted, or spring or whatever from the fridge. I don't know, but it's always it's a running joke between us, and he's always looking to bust my ribs, so to speak, on and I know that's not the right expression, Skippy, but you get what I mean. Or Torillo, he's not even here. But yeah, that's good stuff out of San Diego, and looking forward to see what else they put together. We're going to try and get Chad Rowland on to talk some Indy Ramblers. I don't know if those signings are going to come across while he's on the call with us, or if he's waiting to drop them. But we'll get to it all in just a moment. There's some Indy signings there. Let's get to them first. Mac Dre, defensive end, headed to Indianapolis. Jabril Curse on the defensive line, and there's another running back shoe to drop. Christian Pierce leaves San Diego, who we were just visiting with, and heads to Indianapolis. Big shoes to fill, taking over for Brad Jones. And Skinny Washington is headed to Arizona after his brief stint or I should say brief successful stint on the field in Tulsa. Took a little time. Skinny's back, and now he's headed to Arizona. And I believe, is that the fourth corner that Arizona has signed? Interesting. Gamble, Garrison, Thomas, Washington, all listed as corners in the player portal, which is at simulation.football. If you have a player, you have access to that portal. If you don't, join up today. Simulationfl.net. Hit the Create a Player button on the menu, and that'll give you all the details to get involved in the SFL. So we've got a few indie signings. Leon Thunderman back in San Diego. Max Jackson back in Vegas. No surprise. John Martin back in Jacksonville. No surprise there either. So wow, Christian Pierce. Interested to see how Indy came to this decision or conclusion on Pierce. When we get Roland involved, and I think we have him now. Chad Roland, the owner of Indianapolis, one of the two, along with Adam Wiseman. Chad, welcome to the program.
Cam, it's good to see you. Good to hear from you. How you been?
I have been well. It is it's always wild. When was the championship game? That was the 5th. So
yeah,
we're not even a month removed from the championship game, but you wouldn't believe what a few days off can do for the mind and body, and getting ready to gear up for season 20.
Yeah.
How about you,
Good,
Chad?
man.
How's off season been treating you so far?
Pretty decent. This is the first, the second off season, I guess, in Indianapolis. So, being able to have that first season to really see where we are and make some adjustments to the roster, and now we get to announce some signings finally after all this time.
Let's start with Pierce. You lose Brad Jones after last season. He certainly wasn't without carries, but funny enough, Christian Pierce was in San Diego. Did not get a lot of touches of the football. You fed Brad Jones early and often last season. What were your conversations like with Pierce, and was that part of it? That, hey, look, we're going to run the ball here in Indy.
Yeah, once we figured out that Brad was going to be testing free agency, and myself and Adam putting 2 and 2 together, knowing he was probably going to go to ACA. The first name we reached out to was Christian Pierce, right? We knew that he was going to probably be cut from San Diego, and already having half of the Pierce family on the roster anyway, with Colin Pierce and Randy Pierce. Having that father and 2-son connection was kind of a big key, but really with the offensive style that we have coming into this season and what we've been testing out for the past 2 years, I feel like Christian's build was really a great build to work with. It's something I've really been looking forward to, and I think with what we've got going here, I think he's going to really be a really big contributor for us this season.
You just recently called a game with Mickey Melillo, who plays for rival Minnesota. What can we expect out of the Indianapolis-Minnesota rivalry in season 20?
The same thing, but about 10 times more, right? What's great about that is the fact that both organizations are really well-ran organizations, right? I think me and Adam have done a pretty decent job so far, and Axel and BJ, I mean, they were the first expansion team to get a playoff spot, and they were really tough this season, right? And all the back and forth and the jaw jabbing we had this past season was really fun, and myself and Axel and BJ and Adam were all invested into this rivalry, making it the best rivalry in the SFL. It already is, hands down, in my mind. And so having these guys, build this thing up and be even more, season 20 is going to be even wilder than it was last season.
Now to your defensive front, Jabril Curse, Mac Dre. Tell us about those signings and what you feel like they can do for your squad. They join Derek Genko and Rocco Rossi on the line.
Yeah, so, our line is a little young, right? Obviously, Derek Genko is our top guy. at the defensive tackle position. Rocco was a draft pick that we traded up for this past season. But I'll start with Jabril first. He was a guy that kind of came in late here a little bit. We've been having some great conversations, and coming over from Fort Worth, converting over the defensive tackle. I think the build is there. It's really solid. I think he's really going to be a big threat. We lost Corey Dobbins this past season to retirement. So I think this is a guy that actually I feel like is a better build. I feel like we upgraded at that position. And so Jabril coming in and really making a mark, I think it's going to be huge for us. And then Mac Dre, he's a lower build a little bit, right? He's going to come in as defensive end too. But and I don't know if you see that in the welcome channels and everything else, but he's always one of the first people to wish new people into the league. Welcome into the league. He's a really active guy, really great guy, great conversations. And one of my goals this season is to really get our locker room re-energized, to be more active than it is. And this is one of the big keys, right? Bringing in a guy like Mac Dre that's going to be able to keep the conversations going in the locker room and also be a great, outstanding member in the community.
Second off season compared to the first, Chad. What are the differences and how do you and Adam just kind of feel season 19 went? What went right, what went wrong, and what are the big goals for Indianapolis in season 20?
I mean, man, so last offseason was crazy just because of the fact we're building a team from scratch. So, and also competing with 3 other teams, by the way, that were also trying to build teams from scratch. So, a lot of players were already taken in this and that, and we really had a plan to build the culture first, right? Our goal was we really didn't care if we finished 11-1 or 1-11. We just really wanted to see what we had. To see exactly what we've built, see what players work, see what players don't work, and really just for me and Adam to work together, right? Because it was the first season we got to work together. So getting that chemistry down along with Colin and Chris Britton, our GM, who's done a fantastic job in the past, since he's gotten a job, has done nothing but great things. And so, getting the team together, seeing what we got, and then this offseason, obviously, we didn't have to build up a whole roster. So being able to take out some of the non-active, non-committed players, bringing in guys that are excited for the process, bringing in guys that are going to be ready to go as far as, making Indianapolis what I believe is going to be a playoff contending team this season. And we're really excited for the guys that we've brought in.
Schedule's done, Chad. Anybody that you want outside of Minnesota as divisions rotate, as the world turns, so to speak?
Man, that's a great question. In my mind, I feel like we're probably going to end up playing the West just because of the fact that Adam will get a chance to go up against Denver. And some of these guys that I have, from San Diego, maybe playing against their old team. But other than that, really, I wouldn't mind just staying out West. In my coaching time, I've never played against Vancouver. So it's always, want to go up against the best, right? If you want to be the best, you got to beat them. And so, going up against a team like Vancouver would be interesting. And I can see Doug in there talking about I want some of Seattle. Yeah, I want a piece of everybody, right? I think those would be interesting divisions to play. Now, you're the only one that really knows besides maybe a couple other people, but looking forward to Wednesday seeing who we got. And it really, in our mind, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're ready for whoever week one's going to be, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Mike St. Green and I are excited to talk about the season for a few big reasons. Looking forward to the schedule release on Wednesday, and happy to have you here on the show, Chad. Congrats on the signings with Curse and Dre coming from San Diego and Fort Worth, and then Pierce also coming from San Diego, new members of the Indy Ramblers. Thanks for joining us, Chad.
Yep, anytime. Thank you for having me, Cam. Legend Killers forever, baby.
Thanks, Chad. Looking forward to the next chapter in that rivalry as well. So let's see what else we got. Let's get to our next part of the show here. Couple of new signings. Garrett Hudson, outside linebacker for Los Angeles, and Ike McBride, another running back piece. Ike is headed to Carolina, 111.77. Another piece to the Carolina offense that is one of the joys to speak to in the SFL. Ike McBride heading to Carolina on a big contract replaces Sudo Nakai, who was manned by Charles Doherty, who is now, of course, in San Diego. London is ramping up. They got Cam Frosby back. And then Vincent, Remington James, Noah Regier back in Fort Worth as well. So for Carolina, let's look at the Skyhawks and what they have done so far in this offseason. Still no quarterback currently signed, but Ike McBride joins Hanzo in the backfield. Harish Prasad and Chase Earl currently at wide receiver. Vince DeSantis back at tight end. You got Phil Hall, DJ Majesty, Ryan Ray, Christopher Colon all on the line. And then linebackers Prasad and Stinson, and then a full secondary. Davidson Joseph, Tristan Hadley, Skippy Curtis, Monte Wyatt, Lincoln Kingseed, the expected regulars there in Carolina. But Ike McBride, the big splash for the Skyhawks, and GM Skippy Curtis down there in Carolina. And we'll see how that is going to work. As Ike said, "Sweet home Carolina," in the chat. So congratulations to them as well. We're going to move on to our next guest on the program, who we will reveal in just a moment. 30 minutes left in our program here tonight, and we are now joined by the new defensive back in Arizona, Skinny Washington. How you doing, Skinny?
I'm good. Can you hear me good?
I'm good. I can hear you good. Arizona.
What's going on, Kim?
He loves y'all. What went into the decision of going to the Scorpions?
I mean, I'm a slot corner. They had the best slot corner in the SFL. They got Hall of Famers. Actually, they got Iggy coming in. They got unstoppable running back. It's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, Arizona, they certainly know defensive backs. You just don't want to get in whatever position Gage is playing, right? You want some pick sixes. You got a few, couple, maybe in Tulsa. I think even a few.
Got one.
One? No way.
Yeah, I got one.
I could have sworn I called. Maybe I called that game or something. I could have sworn it was more than one. But yeah, great season in the slot in Tulsa, and now headed over to Arizona. And talking with Eddie, one DB to another, what has that been like? Just listening to Eddie talk about the secondary. I know he cares a lot about who's in his secondary, and what they can bring to the team.
I'm already learning a lot. So everybody know me and Eddie close. So it's just, I'm a sponge. I'm just over here. I'm keeping my head down and do what I need to do for the team, and and not be such of a distraction this time.
Have you talked to Parker yet? I'm curious because Parker's stepping into a different role than if you're going into the slot, and I know that it's been a badge of honor for him to be that best slot corner, which he arguably has been certainly in the last couple seasons.
Not yet, but I plan on talking to him because he knows what he's doing, and I'm gonna need all the advice I can take. So I'm planning on talking to him, but not yet.
Anybody else that you've gotten to speak with in Arizona? I mean, this is always a really fun part of the season because you get to go into a new locker room, and it's just a new change with new people, getting to learn some new faces, so I'm sure that's got to be exciting.
Yes, it was interesting because I didn't know I was going to be a free agent, but the experience was I enjoyed the experience. I just never want to do it again. So.
Well, there you go. AZ for life potentially, and Arizona had a need, and Skinny was able to slide in that spot, and happy to have you in the SFL, and good luck in season 20.
Thank you, Cam.
See you, bud. Bye. Skinny Washington, there you go. we're going to move on to our next guest here quickly, rapid fire, as we start to wrap things up here on the program. Another successful free agency frenzy. Happy to see that the portal did not give anyone too much trouble here tonight, so far as I know. Ross Napoli is now with us out of Louisiana. How you doing, Ross?
I'm doing good, Cam. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And as we talk some Louisiana Revolution football now, I was mentioning earlier that Tommy Utah and Randy Squarebush and Liam Hammer, it's a very, very talented offense that has been assembled in Louisiana. And how are your sights on season 20, getting those signings on the books and done?
We're really excited about it. I mean, obviously, as I said, when we signed him to be the defensive coordinator here, that trying to bring Liam over here has been seasons in the making. So when we finally had the opportunity to bring him over here, it was a no-brainer. And to know what he was going to add to this offense with our second-year wide receiver in Reggie De Niro, who had an excellent season for us, and Vinci setting career highs. We really feel that this is an explosive wide receiving core. And, we think Tommy's earned it. Tommy's won a championship in the minors, and he's progressed every year, set career numbers this year too. Coach runs a great offense. And I think that all of these guys are a perfect fit for us. So to get Liam together with these guys or whatever, I think it's going to be real exciting. And I think things are going to be really good for us in season 20 with Louisiana.
How about Odette on the line? Got a chance to have some dinner with Otis Boudreau back in my Arkansas days, and I got a chance to get him stopping by, and golly, we could have talked for hours. Otis is a great guy, and haven't had a chance to meet up with Odette yet, but they're great people over there. What did it mean to you to be able to get her on your defensive front?
It meant a lot. There was a couple of different things that went to that. Obviously we had approached Odette last offseason, and it came down to us in Canton. And we knew the excitement of what was going on in Canton, and we did not fault her for going and experiencing what Canton, had to offer. And, we sat down and talked with her when we knew that there was some interest for her to come to Louisiana this season. There was certainly no hard feelings, and she enjoyed her time over there and said there's nothing wrong with being there. But we had that personal connection, obviously, with her husband being here. But also it was meaning something because of the relationship that Jess and Odette had made with Leonard Butler. So when Leonard had passed and we knew that we were going to have to replace him, the wheels started turning, and Jess had reached out to Gerald, and Gerald and I had some conversations, and, she liked the opportunity of converting over to the outside and being able to replace Leonard, somebody who she developed a personal relationship with. And it just felt like the right move. Not only on the field and what we felt the conversion was going to be value-wise, but the personal connection that she actually had with Leonard. And, it makes us happy to be able to provide her with the opportunity to replace Leonard, because that meant something to her, it meant something to Jess. And so, that certainly means something to us here. So we were excited to make that happen.
Liam Hammer gives up his stake in ownership in San Diego and heads to Louisiana, joins your staff, is a very talented weapon now for Tommy Utah.
Yes.
What do you think Liam is going to provide to the organization to help take y'all to the next level?
I think Liam brings a lot. Obviously on the field, we all know what his player is. I mean, Liam can arguably, be considered one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the league over the past couple of seasons.
Right.
So to be able to give that to Tommy Utah here to go along with the other wide receivers that we had, like I said, who set career numbers, they're all excited. All these guys, they can't wait. That's all they talk about is can't wait to get back onto the field here, because it's exciting to bring a guy like that. On the other side of it, Liam's a talented guy. He is a well-respected, not only do I think around the league as far as a coach and his mind for the game, but here in this building, people like myself and Gerald and Coach have the utmost respect for a guy like Liam. He's a great guy. He's a great individual. Liam and I have built a relationship from when he was on Coach's staff and I was a minors player in San Jose. So him and I really established that relationship back then, always kept in touch. And for Liam to be able to have done, we saw what he was able to do with San Diego. And once he got over there and came back to the league and started coaching, and you could see what the offense and stuff was doing there, I know that him and Coach are looking forward to working together. Liam's excited about working with the defensive side of the ball, but I'm sure him and Coach are going to go back and forth too. And I think there's going to be some dynamic things done on both sides of the ball here that people may not have seen Louisiana do in its past couple of seasons.
The defense certainly has, San Diego was really young on defense last season, and that's not necessarily the case for Louisiana. You've got your entire secondary coming back, including Mike Ryan and Tank Bennett, who's one of the best 1-2 safety combos in the league. Dante Grimm is another great player in the slot to mention Parker Thomas and some other players. So this is, I imagine, when it comes to opening up a toy box, comparatively, right? Liam's probably like, oh yeah, I can do plenty with this.
Oh yeah, and what he has at his disposal is a phenomenal defensive coach in Gerald. Gerald's been running this defense for years. Everyone knows that Louisiana's defense is always one that's going to show up. We have had success in shutting down the run games of some top running backs. And obviously, Mike Ryan, not in this past season, but the season before, having that long streak of interceptions in every game. And, we're known for turning the ball over and shutting down those running games. We're always a top 5 rushing defense. So to be able to come over, kind of trade wits a little bit with Gerald and be able to have him at his disposal when he's got a question on what should we be doing, scheme wise, and the collaborative effort that the three of them are going to have, is what leads to some excitement going into season 20 here for us.
Last question for you, Ross. The pressure's on. Liam Hammer's receiving yards in his 5 seasons in the SFL. Season 1, 590. Season 2, 888. Season 3, 1,088. Season 4, 1,681. Season 5, 2,148. He's increased his receiving yards 5 straight seasons. That may be an SFL record. I'm not really sure because that is really, really hard to do. So how does he get 2,149 receiving yards in Louisiana next season?
Well, I think he's got Tommy Utah now, so I think that it's absolutely a given that he's going to do that. But
there you go.
We got the big bodied quarterback. Look, it's going to be tough, and I'm sure these guys know when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. When I'm talking with them, I'm always enamored with what we're doing. Starting the 2-back system a couple of seasons ago, and then coming out and really setting career highs, like I said, for the wide receivers and Squarebush and Tommy Utah last year. The end result of our season wasn't necessarily indicative of the statistical season that our guys had. We had so many guys set career highs on both sides of the ball. We didn't get the end result that we wanted. So to be able to bring over such a high-powered player, I've got to imagine that the offensive side of the ball is going to be more dynamic. It's something that's and it takes nothing away from the guys that we've had. We saw Robo get his career season under us 2 seasons ago as he was growing up kind of just like that, what Liam Hammer was doing, increasing slowly but surely. Last year, getting career highs in certain categories for Chase Earl. As well as Da Vinci having the season that he had, converting over to a wide receiver. Coach is able to get those things. Craven is an excellent offensive-minded coach. He gets the best out of those guys, and we're really excited to see how Tommy is going to be able to spread the ball around now to all of these guys.
Ross, as always, thank you for joining the program, and we'll talk to you on the other side of season 20.
Thank you very much, Ken.
See you, Ross. All right, I believe one more guest coming on to the program here tonight. That is Zach Lay, who just signed in Vancouver, going over some of the most recent signings. Ralgar Law comes out of retirement, headed to Alamo City, 85.15, played in St. Louis most recently. Robert Crone going to Houston on the offensive line. John Gary for DC, and Gabriel Manning of Tulsa re-sign there. Zach, do we have you on the line?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I saw your comment in the chat earlier. You love shows like this. Tell us why this is an exciting time of the season for you in the SFL.
Well, it's change. It mixes things up. You know, people get excited, and it mixes the league up, and it hopefully people are getting filling the holes that they have and whatnot, and if they have any. In the case of like Baltimore, you win was it 3 years in a row or something like that?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I mean, they probably just have to bring all their people back, but the goal is to improve your team, or you are moving to a new team.
Yeah, Zach, you were in Charleston your first 3 seasons of your career. Then we're in San Diego the last couple of seasons with a young defense. You were part of some pretty good Charleston defenses back then. But going to Vancouver is a different animal. You're talking about someone that is a consistent winner. You're trying to lift the Legion to the next level. How did the conversations even begin with Andy Hamilton and Michael Percoco and all those guys over in Vancouver? They don't often have openings in their secondary.
I've actually been in communication, or I've talked to Andy, just life stuff, for probably about a year now. And so when an opening actually came up, he brought it to my attention, and at that time I was a free agent. So we started talking it out, and everything added up, and it just made sense.
It's funny how those things work out, right? You build a relationship with someone, and the paths don't cross until they do, and it got you this opportunity. Now the broadcasters are going to have to figure out how to not mix up Lay and Key. I guess that it is Zach Lay, right? That's how you would pronounce that?
Yeah. So, yes, it is, yeah.
I mean, 1 letter difference, even on the keyboard, 1 letter difference, and yeah.
We're already talking about the wrath of the A.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that and seeing how that looks. 6 DBs over in Vancouver with Mark Lopez and Michael Lister, Will Stern, Drew Hamilton, and then Major Key and Zach Lay. So that's going to be fun. If you don't mind, Zach, I'm not sure that we've spoken one-on-one, at least publicly in a program. And if we have, forgive me. There's so much going on in the SFL, and I know that it's been a long time. But where do you hail from, and what's your life about?
I'm currently living in Missouri, but I'm actually moving close to Chicago in a couple of weeks here, actually. I grew up close to Chicago, so I'm just pretty much going back home.
Is that what is are you celebrating anything with that move, or are you just getting homesick? I can feel that.
Just kind of getting homesick a little bit. I've spent a lot of time away. I spent 4 years in the military, bounced around, and then since then I've moved around for jobs and whatnot. So
yeah, I hear you. And I've heard
getting back would be nice.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Chicago food, and I was only there passing through one time.
You need to get some pizza.
That's right. That's on the bucket list for sure. But yeah, and it's great to have everyone from the SFL on programs like these and get a chance to get to know everyone, because there's so many people out there that we're trying to interconnect over the years, and so that's exciting. So Zach, I appreciate you being on the program and giving us a chance to get to know you a little better. Congratulations on getting to Vancouver, and good luck in season 20.
I appreciate it. And the way Hammer's going to get that, was it the 2,149 yards, is by not playing Vancouver this year.
We'll find out Wednesday. I like that, Zach. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, that was Zach Lay, a new member of Vancouver. Show is winding down. 11 minutes left. Might be our last refresh of the night. Holy moly, Eagle Mondavi's going to San Diego, and he's back in the SFL. Well, I didn't see that coming. There's your offense. B. Robo leaves Louisiana, signs also with San Diego. So San Diego is building on the offense, and that comes down across the wire late in this show. A stunner, in fact, is Eagle Mondavi back in the SFL. They always come back, don't they, Ashley? And yeah, it's exciting to have them back. A couple of nice pair of wide receivers, 105.53, 99.26 there in San Diego. Epic Esports says OMG. Chat, Joshua Williams says whoa. And yeah, the Eagle is back. The Eagle has landed. I'm sure we'll hear that once or twice out of the San Diego Mavericks over the next week or so. Been a very eventful night. Someone asked in the chat, Jeff Banfield, shout out. Hello, Jeff. Happy that you got a chance to join us tonight, and you get your shout out. Robert Brady Jr. asked, just concerned how many teams will be left to draft. So let's take a look at where we stand right now in terms of the spots. 644 spots are available in the Pro League of the SFL. 504 players as of this moment have been signed. That leaves 140 spots still open. Most of free agency occurs in this 2-hour window, but there are plenty of contracts left to come down. You've got Queen City and Jacksonville and London working on getting their re-signings going still. And then obviously some more free agents as well. So we'll see where it all falls, where it all settles. 140 is the number still remaining out there in the SFL, and that will continue to fill in the coming weeks. We have SFL Minor League tomorrow night at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. It is worth noting that SFL headquarters is in a severe weather bubble for tomorrow evening. Fortunately, the scale of severe weather has moved off to the east of us, so we're not expecting anything crazy, and hopefully we can get some great minor league action in. I'll be calling one of those games tomorrow along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and then Mike St. Green will join me Wednesday night as he does every season for schedule release, and we will break down every team's schedule, all of the storylines, all of the different free agent moves, and all the things happening around the SFL. And my goodness, Scar Patterson loses Optimus Klein and Liam Hammer and Gunnar Lewis off of that wide receiver front. Gunnar Lewis, I don't believe has signed anywhere yet, unless he no, I think he's still a free agent, so that's interesting. But replace them with Robo and Mondavi, and there you go. That is one of the reasons why Scar Patterson probably re-signed. Let's see. Epic Esports says, is San Diego getting Streeter to come back? That would be really interesting. Yes, I do love storylines, Adam. And yeah, it's a very, very, very interesting night here in free agency, and some really shocking things. KT Slayer's back in Houston as well. Did not mention that earlier. We still have some pieces out there left to sign. Just some running backs and some big players. Just looking through the quarterbacks and running backs around the SFL right now. Does everyone have a quarterback and a running back? Carolina is still missing a QB. Charleston's got 2 running backs now, so that's going to be interesting. Denver also needs to sign their quarterback. So we'll see if it's a free agency table turner, or if they are going to go back into the draft to find a QB. Jacksonville has not signed a quarterback just yet. Of course, Jordan Sipe at the top of the program signed with the Mexico City Aztecs to take the place of Matt Wilson as their starter. London has not re-signed Pickler. I've not heard anything about Pickler not coming back to London, so that looks like that's just a formality. But yeah, to both running backs back in Mexico City. And, yeah, Queen City's got some work to do. We'll see if O.J. Bruin is back. I know that he was on Say It With Your Chest the other night, or was at least scheduled to be. But, yeah, everybody else elsewhere is looking pretty sharp in those very valuable positions on offense, and we'll see what that means for the draft. All right, I think that's going to wrap our program for the evening. It was an exciting free agency capped off by Robo and Mondavi signing in San Diego. Fox Highwind just re-signed in London, 104.12, and Nick Fargo is back in Sioux Falls. The anchor and linchpin of that defense comes back to Sioux Falls, 84.09 at inside linebackers. So that is a look at all of the free agents tonight. And boy, did we have a lot. Yeah, almost an entire transactional page today of signings across the board. Just to recap, some of the big headliners. Jordan Sipe leaves Jacksonville and heads to Mexico City to take the place of Matt Wilson. Portland got a couple new players on their offensive line. We saw Caesar Ackerman go to Baltimore as the tight end 1, replacing Lloyd Graham Jr. DJ Bandit also left the team. So a little bit more, or lack of retention, I should say, out of Baltimore than we're used to. They still retain quite a bit of players over there in Baltimore. Alamo City is building on their new team with a couple signings that started with Rob Foraker, but San Diego is as well. Freddie Trammell, as those two teams continue to split. San Diego saw Stuart Zomilia and Jeff Gagne sign big pieces from Jacksonville and London, respectively. DJ Majesty, a veteran of the SFL, he heads to Carolina. Gus and Baloo Scott, mother and son, head to Seattle as the Nemesis complete their team. Nathaniel Diggs makes it official in Arizona. Jay Hayden going to Charleston and joining Robert Cherry on a expanding staff for the Predators of a totally new-looking offense behind veteran quarterback Kentez Johnson. The Boudreaux are both in Louisiana reunited. Tulsa also getting the band together as J-Rock and DJ Bandit head to Oklahoma. We had, we had Tanner Hendricks also go to San Diego from London. Jason Williams left Fort Worth and is headed to Sioux Falls to take over for Marcus Duncan, who is still yet to sign. Devin King, big in Denver. Denver also got William McDowell. The Caudells follow Charles to San Diego. Ace goes to Canton. And Christian Pierce, now a Rambler. Ike McBride in Carolina. Raul Garlaw out of retirement. So is Eagle Mondavi. So much more to come on free agency frenzy and in the free agency period in the SFL. SFLM tomorrow and the schedule release Wednesday evening. I'm Cameron Irvine. This has been a presentation of the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music, and we'll see you tomorrow night for SFLM action. Please join us.